Bucket and Jack, and we're back with more on the ESR. We just saw TK taking out Envy in Game 5. Envy goes 1-1, but TK, a 2-0 performance is going to put them in our top 5 overall.
Yeah, definitely a big performance there. And as we mentioned, we saw Neslo go huge in that matchup against Envy, highlighting some of his stats before. But I think we might have him on the line here for a couple quick questions.
Will, you ready? He's here, Neslo. Welcome to the club, my friend. Welcome to the ESR. You had a great night. It was fun watching you guys kind of tear it up, especially in the dominations. Is that by far your best game mode right now on Team Caliber?
Probably not. I would say our search and destroy is looking really good. We don't really have a bad game type right now. We just got the team back together, gone over a lot of things. We don't really have a favorite or least favorite game type right now. After
being released by TK and seeing Theory kind of leave after COD Champs, did you ever think this starting lineup would be back together competing once again?
After Champs and I wanted to come back, I told them that I wanted the original lineup back, and, Dylan said he wasn't coming back right now. But, yeah, I talked to Dylan a lot after Champs, and, I knew that eventually this lineup would get back together. I had a pretty good feeling.
Now, Neslo, you guys had a very successful day 2. Now 3-1 in the league in 4th place. What do you guys have to do to continue this momentum and continue performing well?
Work harder than other teams. It comes down to that. If you put in the time, then you see results, and we already kind of have the time put in. We've been a team for over a year. We have the chemistry already there. Like, we picked Dylan back up, Theory, and we felt like we haven't missed anything, and everything just flows well and everything makes sense. And I guess I could slay more now that I have a less selfish player in Theory back on the team. So,
well, I got to ask you kind of about this team's online performance. Last season, TK almost didn't make it into Anaheim. They barely squeaked in there with that 8th seed overall. Online doesn't seem to be an issue for you guys so far. 3-1 in the COD League. You made it into the top 4 in the 2K series. What's it been like so far for the team? Have you upgraded your internet connections, or are you just kind of finally finding the way to play in Ghost?
Online's not going to be consistent no matter who you are. It matters if you're home team or away team. Fortunately, we've been home team for most of our matches so far. We just talked about it before the season started that we're not going to complain as much as we did last season. Sharp goes to his brother's house, so he has a better connection. And it's just focus, because every time you complain about the connection after you die, you could be calling out. And there's just stuff you can't control, like a bad host or something like that. But, last season we really didn't notice that Apathy's host was going to be the best host for us. So we started off the league really bad, playing on Goonjar's host. So we worked out the connection issues for the most part, and now we're focused. We don't care if it's online, to the point where we're just trying to execute and play the game right and hopefully win.
It's paying dividends, man. You've gone to 2 Game 5s. One of them you lost to Optic. This most recent one you won over Envy. Was there any kind of change in strategy, change in discussion going into that Game 5 this time around?
No, it's just execute. One thing that TK, which is pretty irresponsible, we didn't do last season was go over search and destroy until like midway through the season when we were in trouble. We thought, we were naturally just good at search and that we didn't need to go over it. We didn't make that mistake this time. We went over search way before the league started, and we're pretty much prepared going into that game type, and we just execute, play our game. We don't really care how the other team plays too much as long as we can execute our game. And just to keep composure, clutch up, and go down 5-1, 5-2, doesn't matter. You can always come back. You can always win. Doesn't matter.
Now you faced and took down EG 3-0, one of the big teams in Call of Duty, as well as beat Envy, another team that people regard as one of the top teams. Now there's still many other teams you guys have yet to face. Who are you most looking forward to facing, and who do you think will be a great matchup for you guys?
I think FaZe is going to be a good team. Like LAN and online, I think they're going to be a very good team. That's where Apathy went. That's Apathy, Dito, Parasite, and Sensor. Those are all championship caliber players. So they're going to be a top team. Envy definitely needs to put in work. They need time. JCap was on a cruise. They're not going to click right away, but they're a lot of heavy slayers. And then other than that, the only really exciting matchups for us is Optic and EG. And my phone is ringing.
All good, brother. So Optic, EG, FaZe being that surprise team to look out for. We'll see how strong they are. Let's go over the overall recap from last night while we still have you. So you were able to go 2-0, putting you at a 3-1 record. Rise Nation also went 2-0 with wins over Justice and Elevate. Were you surprised by Rise's performance, or is this something you expected?
It's something expected. Those are all great players online, and I don't want to take anything away from them. They've been together for a while too. Looney, Weeds, and Pac-Man, but they're gonna have a Tatch or Looney host, and that's a double West Coast host, and they're pretty dominant on it. So if they get a lot of home matches and they get certain respawn game types, it's gonna be really hard to take from them. That and they're just a good team. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and they probably have a lot more chemistry than most of the pro teams in this game, to be honest.
The next two teams on the leaderboard were Envy, who went 1-1. Of course, you took a series off of Envy, and then EG, who beat Justice but lost to Envy in a Game 5. Are you surprised to see EG now at 1-3?
Not really. They haven't been practicing since Anaheim. They haven't really prepared for the season. They're just kind of going into it, and I expected a slow start from them, but it's EG. It doesn't matter. As soon as they struggle, then they start getting on every day. They get themselves remotivated, and then they turn up. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 10-3 now, and they go on a 9-game winning streak. But maybe I'm surprised at how poor they're playing or how inconsistent they're playing. They've got a lot of bad maps too. They hate Octane, and they've played a whole lot of Octane so far, but they're gonna pick it up.
And then the final two teams who played last night, Justice going 0-2 and Elevate going 0-2. Now, Justice was originally knocked out after Season 2. They didn't place into the championship bracket. They went through that open bracket and got back in. Then we see Elevate still using 3 or 2 subs. Which squad do you think will wind up finishing in the top 8? Who do you think is a better chance, Justice or Elevate?
I would say Justice, just because of the chemistry. They've been together for a while. And Elevate, I don't know the players too much. I don't know how much they really care about advancing in this season. And I know Justice, they must care for them to stick together through, losing Season 2. That's something a team usually doesn't do, is they struggle through a season to stay together. So they're doing well. They're going to improve. They have some inexperience on that team. They just got to keep grinding through it, and they have a good chance of placing top 8.
All right, well, let's take a look at our overall records. So Denial sitting on top with Rise Nation and Optic Gaming at 2-0 each, all with 100% win ratios. Optic at the bottom of us, they have 4 map losses with their 6 wins. You guys are in 4th with 11 wins, 6 map losses, 75% match win rate, and then Curse, Envy, EG all down there with just 1 match win. EG at the bottom there with 3 losses. We have Optic Nation still to play. Radius is still to play. Both of those teams we'll see tonight. And Justice will be playing once again as well, with FaZe playing for their first time. Optic Nation, Radius Gaming, FaZe all playing for the first time. Who's going to have the best record, in your opinion, coming out of tonight?
That's tough between FaZe and Optic Nation. I'm going to have to go with FaZe. I think Apathy, when he left, he has a lot to prove. He really thinks he's worth a lot. And I think Apathy's a great player. He's one of the best respawn players in the game. And those players expect nothing but first. I know Sensor, I know all of them. If they're not first, they're not winning in their eyes. So I think FaZe has a lot of high expectations, and I think they're going to turn up tonight.
They play Optic Nation 7 p.m. this evening. You got a prediction overall in this match score?
Yeah, FaZe 3-1.
FaZe 3-1. Good.
Okay.
All right, Game 4. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, Neslo, we know that you guys have a night off, but you're going to be using it most likely to prepare for G3. It's just around the corner, coming up August 2nd and 3rd. Have you been to London before? Is this your first international tournament?
No, we actually attended G2 last year with Stainville instead of Goonjar because he wasn't old enough, and we ended up placing 3rd. So I've been over to London. I've been overseas, so yeah.
You looking forward to this time around at G3? Who do you think is going to be in the grand finals?
Probably us and EG.
TK, EG.
Hey, I'd watch that. That sounds fantastic.
I'm down for that cause. Well, Neslo, thank you so much for coming on the ESR. Where can we catch you for future Call of Duty?
I have a stream up at mlg.tv/Neslo, and you guys can catch me there. I pretty much stream every day, whether it's wager matches, league matches, scrims. I'm always up and streaming.
You guys playing this evening?
I think we're playing some wager matches here in a little bit.
I like it. Well, best of luck in that as well as in the rest of Season 3. Looking forward to seeing TK near the top all season long. Jack, any final questions for Neslo before we let him go?
No, man, best of luck this season, and you definitely performed well last night, so keep it up in the future.
Yeah, thanks, man. You too.
Absolutely. That is Neslo, guys, our MVP from night number 2, helping TK when they need him most, especially in those dominations. We should close out the night by talking about tonight's upcoming matches. Jack, what are some of the big ones you're looking forward to?
We have a great match schedule here tonight. We'll put it up for you, but we see Justice versus Radius Gaming. Radius, that new squad formed by Blevdog. This team is going to have a lot of eyes on them because we need to see how they're even going to perform. Hopefully for them, they could start off strong because they're one of the newest squads in the whole 12-team lineup. Then we'll see Envy versus Rise Nation also at 7 p.m. Definitely going to be a big matchup there as Envy isn't doing too well so far in the league. They've had some decent wins, but Rise Nation right now sitting at a perfect record, only beating Justice and Elevate, this Rise squad. So they're going to be facing Envy, and as you can see there on the bottom, FaZe. So tonight's going to be a big test on how this squad performs. Then, as you can see, our key match of the day, I think everyone will agree, FaZe versus Optic Nation is going to be a huge match.
Man, this is a stacked card. I feel like if we're watching UFC, you got 4 heavyweight fights. Envy, Rise Nation, FaZe, Optic Nation, Rise Nation, FaZe. And, I want to see what's going on with Radius tonight. That's going to be our first chance to see this new lineup. They didn't go very far in the 2K, falling out in the round of 12, I believe. We'll get a chance to see them at their best. And are they playing with Spacely on the starting lineup, or are they going to use that guy there on the far right, Saint?
We'll have to see. I know the people on Reddit want to see Saint doing well. He's been struggling with keeping on a team. He wound up getting picked up last week after being dropped by Rise and was originally going to be an automatic duo with Classic. They were going to build this franchise, but then they wound up going through the draft and picking up some of these players, Huddle, Slack, Spacely. So it'll be interesting to see where this squad goes. I think if they wind up playing with this roster, as you see on the screen here, and not doing too well tonight, then things could get quite interesting. But I really do hope for the best for this squad because I'd love to see a new team come up on the rise and start doing pretty well.
I like it. Let's take a look at our other 2 teams that we mentioned will be in our featured match of the night, FaZe and Optic Nation. First off, it's FaZe, formerly FaZe Black, Sensor, Dido, now teaming with their former teammate Apathy, and they brought on Parasite after letting go of Saint.
Yeah, this squad, it's kind of been the talk of the community. Originally, Parasite, he's been hopping around teams here and there. Apathy, an exceptional player overall, especially when he played on TK. Now they've joined forces. People have been saying this squad could go places. Already, people are saying they could be a top 3 squad right behind Optic Gaming and Evil Geniuses. It'll definitely be interesting to see how this squad does, especially if they stay level-headed and stay motivated. I think this squad could definitely go places.
And finally, Optic Nation. This is a squad we saw go all the way to the grand finals where they met Envy in this weekend's 2K. They walked home with $720. That's going to be Miracles, Killa, Embos, and Ricky.
Yeah, no, this squad is definitely a lot of fun to watch on stream. A lot of times they're going back and forth. You could hear Killa calling himself the best in the game. But I think tonight's matchup versus FaZe, first map for both these teams, first matchup, they want to get off on the right foot. 2 powerhouse squads, as this Optic Nation team proved that their X Games performance was just a fluke. They came back through the open bracket, tearing it up and taking home open bracket champions and $10,000 at Anaheim. This squad wants it. They've been grinding out, playing a ton of wagers, as well as this FaZe squad has gotten together and they immediately started performing well, playing well in the 2Ks, and now we're going to be seeing these squads face off tonight. It is definitely going to be a match you do not want to miss.
My question is, who is going to go 6-2 or possibly even 6-0? Will anyone be able to take Denial's spot at the top of the leaderboard? Currently, they hold that position at 6-3. That's going to do it for tonight's ESR. The match is once again kicking off in about an hour and 40 minutes. Here's a look at the matches for tonight one more time. Jack, great job on the show today, my friend. We'll see you all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on MLG.TV/ESR.